Hello and welcome to this special 19 minutes 56 seconds. We are absolutely live on the iGaming Next Power Hour. My name's Oisin Lunny. I'm a journalist, event MC and podcast host for Fortune 500 companies. And of course, the Power Hour is all about giving you the power to make the right decisions, giving you the insights to have a competitive advantage. And I sincerely believe that the next 19 minutes and 33 seconds could be some of the most valuable minutes you spend this year. We live in an attention economy. We value your attention, and we are going to give you a lot of value for your full attention for the next 19 minutes, 19 seconds. And it is a great pleasure to welcome to the iGaming Next Power Hour stage, Peter Ekmark, who is the CEO of Internet Vikings. Welcome, Peter. Great to see you here.
Thank you. You really set the bar and apply some pressure there with that introduction.
No pressure at all, Peter. No pressure at all. No, I know we've talked already, obviously, and I know that this is so important, and it kind of blows my mind that this isn't talked about more. Sincerely, it is like you've discovered this privacy time bomb at the heart of iGaming. It's just incredible, and we're going to dive into that. Please do pay attention. There's going to be practical takeaways. You're going to find out exactly what you can do about it and how to stay on the right side of the law, on the right side of your customers. But first, Peter, I think it would be great to understand a bit about your background and how you came to be the CEO of Internet Vikings. What's your background in iGaming, and what's your background in technology as well?
Well, to start with, I'm actually an engineer. I have a Master of Science in Electrical Engineering. Would you believe that? But that was a while ago, to be honest, and I don't think I've ever used anything of what I've learned. So it's almost ancient history. Well, I came into the iGaming sector in 2006 via a Swedish startup company, which was called Maria Bingo. That was very soon thereafter acquired by Unibet, where I ended up spending almost 8 years.
Right.
And from there, I went to another Swedish company called Vera and John, who now is part of Gamesys, big UK operator. Yeah. And I went on to Mr. Green, which also was acquired by another big UK, very successful operator called William Hill, who has then been acquired by Caesars in the US. So lots of things happening. And that's why I ended up with Internet Vikings. After having spent 14 years plus within the B2C iGaming community, it was a very nice change to go to a smaller B2B setup.
Absolutely. So you're kind of bringing that experience that you have from the iGaming industry, all those years of decades of technology experience, and you're now on the other side of the camera, as it were, providing to some of the top iGaming companies. But we're going to just dive in right away to this issue now. Now, of course, you know, iGaming is about money in and money out. And so there are some parallels with other industries, but I don't know if people really appreciate the privacy implications and the tech implications of this, you know, the base material of the industry. Talk to us a bit about how, you know, iGaming should be looked at with the same seriousness as the financial services in terms of the privacy issues.
This is a very interesting topic, and like I said, I've been around it for 14 years now, and it's also changing at the speed of light almost, and we're entering new markets, and old markets are becoming regulated, etc. I'd just like to highlight, though, that I'm by no means a lawyer, so I cannot make any legal advice. I'm an engineer, so that's not why we're having this session.
Absolutely. So, the privacy, the privacy within financial services is seen. You know, everybody understands it, but the privacy issues in iGaming, you know, maybe certain things have arrived on the scene without getting the attention they really deserve.
Absolutely. There are huge similarities. In a way, a gaming company is exactly the same as a bank. You open an account, you deposit money, you withdraw money from that account. So that's why the regulatory framework is also very alike, to be honest. In some areas, I would say it's even tougher for an iGaming operator than a bank. And privacy when it comes to your personal data in that vertical is crucial, I would say. And what we all have in common here in Europe is Gdpr. We're not going to go into detail to that, but all of us has gone through it, and it wasn't that easy, to be honest. And it's something that we have to adhere to. It's all about protecting those personal details of yours and defending your right to protect them.
Yeah, indeed. So like, I'm sure everyone on this call is very familiar with GDPR. We know about some of the enormous fines that have been handed out to tech companies that have been on the wrong side of that. And there is a sort of parallel movement in America, a legal precedent between the relationship of companies in Europe, companies in iGaming, companies handling data, and having a presence in America. And this all falls around something called Schrems 2, which is named after, I believe, the privacy campaigner Maximilian Schrems, which is an epic name. Talk to us a bit about Schrems 2 and what it means for our assumptions around the privacy of data and having a global presence, as we are truly in a global industry.
True. Yes, it's Schrems 2, because there was also a Schrems 1.
Yes.
He actually sued Facebook to get to Schrems 2. And he's also based in Ireland, I believe. But anyways, the Privacy Shield, which was actually named Safe Harbor before it became Privacy Shield, it's really all about protecting the GDPR framework when it comes to transferring data outside of the EU. So the Privacy Shield was set up to cater for that relationship with US in particular. And US has a different framework. They do not have GDPR, but they have something called the Cloud Act. And the problem was that what Max highlighted in this case, which was, by the way, ruled by the Court of Justice in EU, was that it was not adequate. So it didn't protect that personal data in the way it must in order to be compliant.
Yeah.
So it was overruled, and hence the Privacy Shield is no more. This happened this summer, 16th of July. And I think that most of our focus at that time, at least mine, was somewhere else. It's been an interesting year from so many perspectives, but I think Corona was really all over the place. And as you know, we also had Brexit at the end of the year. So I think from a medial point of view, maybe some of us missed out on it, but it's a big thing. Absolutely.
Totally. So basically what the Schrems 2 ruling in the European Court of Justice, in kind of simplified terms, it said that the privacy is just not adequate. If you have any kind of data going back and forth to the States, the status quo is not protecting your customers. And I think in iGaming, I mean, in finance as well, but in iGaming, very much, because you have customers who are high net worth individuals. And I've spoken at a few events for high net worth individuals. And if there's one thing I know that they love, it's privacy. They all love privacy. So there is a huge potential for reputational damage to the iGaming sector for not understanding the implications of this Schrems ruling. I mean, how do you think that regulators and operators are keeping up with this? Is there some awareness about it, some general awareness? Because you really don't read a lot about it, I think.
No, you don't. It's quite surprising, to be honest. Internet Vikings, we are a cloud hosting provider. And we do have customers both from the iGaming sector, but also the finance sector. And to my surprise, I would say that we've seen a lot of concern from the financial sector, but not so much from the iGaming sector. And typically the iGaming sector is on the forefront of these matters, including regulatory marketing issues, because that's what they've had to do in order to become as successful as they have. So that's a bit of a surprise, but maybe the events of the year took focus from that. We as a company just actually got through an ISO 27001 certification. Yeehaw, that was a big thing.
Congratulations.
And ISO, the experience, of course, is that it's all about risk management in a way.
Yes.
So information security, right? And I believe that lots of these companies, including the iGaming operators, of course, they do have that certification as well. But in their next audit, I believe this is very likely to be flagged as a high risk.
Totally. I mean, that's, this is a time bomb. Even if you have ISO 27001 certification or compliance, come your next review, you could be doing something highly damaging to your business. I mean, what would a practical scenario be? What would an iGaming operator who's maybe looking to go to America, or they have operations in America? I mean, it's the hottest market in the world. Yeah. It's one of the places where the iGaming industry is looking to expand and to really have that exponential growth. What are the implications for the iGaming framework with the Schrems II ruling, with the Privacy Shield, and with expanding into the US? What does that look like?
Well, to be honest, entering America, which is a hot topic, of course, doesn't really have any implications to the Schrems II agreement, because if you are active in the US, you have to adhere to US laws, like the Cloud Act.
Yes.
The problem is more that if you are a European entity, you need to adhere to GDPR. And the Cloud Act and GDPR, they're not compliant, which means that you may have to, if subpoenaed, give data, personal data, which you cannot do in compliance with GDPR. So you are in a bad place. I mean, it's like a political law that is not compliant, which needs to be resolved. There is no solution at this point in time. And I think most of the iGaming operators, whether they're in the US or not, they are basically obviously using a lot of data, and they are also cloud hosting. That's where the world is coming to in most areas.
Yes.
If you do so via a US provider, I mean, we all know that the three big ones, Microsoft, AWS, and Google, they're all US entities, which means that they need to adhere to US laws. Whether the data is stored in Ireland doesn't matter. There's still a US entity. So if that data is owned by a European arm, it has no effect, unfortunately. So that has to be taken into the equation, and that's the problem, which obviously the finance industry, like I said, has really picked up on. And I believe that's probably due to the course that they do send transaction back and forth from the US, of course. So this is a big risk. And yes, you do not want to expose that data for unnecessary reasons. It's not only the iGaming industry. This could be journals, medical journals, etc. It's just something that has now been sort of caught in between a rock and a hard place.
Between a rock and a hard place. My goodness, that is such a good way to put it, because you're talking about your hosting decisions. They could be in breach of GDPR, and we know what kind of fines are being given out for breaches of GDPR. Talk to us a bit about how all of this affects the hosting decisions that iGaming companies need to make.
Ultimately, it's their decision, and it's about risk management, like I said.
Sure.
I believe it would be much easier if you had a big European competitor with the three big ones. At the moment, there is no such competitor, and hopefully there will be one eventually. Brexit doesn't help, but there is a need for one. As a hosting provider, I mean, I would be an error not to say that, of course, we could offer those services. We have competitors that could do the same thing. But you could use both services for the redundancy reasons, but to make things easier, I would, if I am active in Europe, use a European supplier. That simplifies the case significantly.
That sounds like a no-brainer, to be quite honest. And you mentioned Brexit there. I'm not sure Brexit is doing much to help anything at the moment. Remains to be seen. But it really does throw a spanner in some of the works here. So, if you're one of the, top 3, top 5 iGaming companies, you presumably have, floors of lawyers and technicians and privacy experts, and you have a lot of resources to throw at this problem. But what if you are slightly, you're not maybe one of the top 5, but if you're slightly down in terms of scale, in terms of market? I mean, how can SMEs, small and medium iGaming companies, still win with their hosting choices?
Yeah, that's also an interesting one. I mean, iGaming is a business of scale.
Sure.
And the more regulated it becomes, the more that is proven, because the compliance departments tend to grow exponentially, to be honest. And it's needed, unfortunately, but that's the way it goes. And if you are a small or medium-sized operator, you don't have those resources. But you have agility, of course, and you have flexibility. You can choose your solutions in a completely different way, and you can change them more rapidly. So that's obviously your potential and what you should use in order to become big. because we've all seen throughout history that the small ones will be the ones that are innovative and eventually will also become big for that reason.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe, I mean, you've kind of spoken about that ability to be agile, to move quickly, to evolve quickly, to respond to market trends. What kind of business advantages can the companies, say, who work with yourselves at Internet Vikings, what advantages can they leverage for things like marketing? I mean, how does the hosting choices that they make advantage other areas that might give them a head start in business?
Well, we offer different services. It's not only a hosting service. We also have what we call marketing solutions, which comes down to brand protection, really. Hosting set aside is, of course, about protecting data. But what's also interesting for, in particular, an iGaming operator is to protect their brand and their brand presence. You can do that in many ways. You obviously have your domain that you need to protect. And believe me, if you go east rather than west, you will see lots of attempt to hijack, to mimic, and to copy, create variations of your domain just to get the traffic, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And if you are an established operator and have an established brand in Europe or in any market for that matter, you want to protect the traffic that you're getting to your brand. That's extremely important, if you ask me. You are marketing your brand, and that's your bread and butter. The traffic that you get means that you convert customers, and that's how you survive and grow as a business. So what we offer here within Vikings is measures and methods and products to protect that traffic and those brands. Trademarking per se doesn't really work on the internet, does it? You can show your paper, but I'm sorry, it's not going to work if you have 1,000 sites which just been set up in order to piggyback on the traffic that you're getting from a commercial campaign, etc.
Interesting. And can you apply that technology in terms of balancing direct traffic with affiliate traffic, for instance? Because, obviously, you want to work with affiliates and you want to give them what they need, but you don't want them to kind of step in front of direct traffic. So how do you deal with that balance between direct and affiliate channels?
Affiliation marketing is a very important method of marketing for iGaming operators. Is typically almost up to 50% of their marketing budget. So it's extremely important, and it's a very competitive marketplace. We do not compete with affiliates. What we do is to protect the brand. We are protecting the marketing investment that the actual brand owner does in their brand in order to make sure that they get the traffic from that investment. So we complement, in a way, affiliation marketing. Affiliation marketing is about being ranking on best sportsbook, best casino. We don't do that. We help the brand owner to get the ROI from their marketing investment, because it comes down to the traffic, right? And you don't want any spills or unnecessary waste from that traffic.
Totally. Again, another thing that you can kind of bring to the table is strategic deployment geographically. And talk to us a bit about how that can help iGaming companies, the actual location of the servers.
If you are, depending on where you're active, you in the iGaming space, it comes down to latency, I would say. And you have many ways of working with latency, because no customer will want to wait for delays. If you want to place a sports bet, for instance, that's not acceptable. And if you want to play a slot or anything like that, you cannot wait for 30 seconds for it being launched. So it's about where you strategically position your data centers. We have data centers in Taipei, that's for the Asian market. We have a data center in Singapore, that's for the Indian market. Amsterdam, Sweden. We also have one in Sao Paulo and Sydney, etc., etc. And those are specifically selected geographically for those markets, and it comes down to latencies.
Fantastic. Okay, if you want to expand into Asia, LATAM, India, speak to Peter now. Speaking of 30 seconds and the latency, we're coming to the end of our session, but I have one more question. Talk to us quickly about how iGaming companies can effectively leverage data, because I know that's something that you guys do. Or is AI, should I say?
Yeah. Data is everything. that's how we incrementally improve our business. You will see many successful iGaming operators having big BI departments.
Okay.
And
so,
yes, we can have
folks,
that.
Okay, we're actually run out of time. We are completely live. We're running a tight ship. Thank you so much, Peter Ekmark, CEO of Internet Vikings. Thanks for joining us on the iGaming Power Hour. iGaming Next. See you next time. My name's Oisin Lunny. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
Tack så mycket.